from small businesses over there to green businesses, youth-led, and from a handful of trees at the University of Venda in 2014 to more than 500,000 planted across 9 provinces. The Universal Greening Organization, UGO, believes youth can rewrite Africa's climate story. Now, UGO blends indigenous knowledge with science, cleans rivers, mentors school eco clubs, and now recruits its 2025 fellowship to skill young Africans for real jobs in the green economy. With us is founder Talifhani Tshitwamulomoni and Boitumelo Mashatola, UGO fellow Martin Bangura from Sierra Leone and Jeanette Wanjira from Kenya joining us via our video links. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming onto the show.
Thank you so much, Hugo. It's nice to have you here.
Well, Talifhani, let's start with you. And obviously, as founder some 11 years ago, as a 20-year-old, what came to mind? What was the idea behind this project? And just how does it move from a project to a movement?
So when we started, we were students sitting in class at the University of Venda. And when we were taught, we realized that whatever we were taught, it's mainly theory. So we wanted to convert theory to practical, because as students, we needed to be ready when we go to employment. So we then decided to say, let's start a movement, or let's start an organization that will take students from class to the communities. And then we get to the communities, we planted trees, we cleaned rivers, we did litter picking. But when we started this, we realized that it's growing. Community likes it. And then they invited us to different communities. That's when we realized that this must grow and become bigger than us. And we started then moving since 2014 to date. The organization has done a lot of work in the entire country, has done a lot of work in other African countries as well. And we're very proud of what we have achieved so far.
Boitumelo, you're obviously a fellow of the organization. Just walk us through, firstly, what that means, and secondly, what drew you to UGO?
Basically, it was last year when I first heard of UGO from a 2024 fellow, actually. So that's when I started being interested. And by that time, I was still doing my undergraduate. So this year, I saw the call earlier, then I applied. After applying, that's when I got the call that I got the space. So it was a very rare opportunity, because you get a chance to have your first passport. I didn't have a passport. I just applied my passport not so long. I didn't have my passport. I've never went out of this country, let alone some of the provinces in this country. So you can already see that my background is not that pleasing. So what we do in this organization, we get to complete modules, which is self-development, social entrepreneurship, sustainability, and also technology and innovation. Right now we are doing community development, and we also have the diplomacy module. So just to reflect from like all the modules that we've done so far, firstly with self-development, I think as you can already hear, self-development, one needs to develop themselves before they can venture into other things. That's why I feel like it was very important of the organization to start with this module. I got to like experience a point where I talk to myself alone, understand myself, what I want, and what I want to go, and what I want to do, right? So as a BSc honors in biochemistry, I'm studying, I'm dealing with microorganisms that live within the plant cells. So when we go to the technology and innovation, that's when I started to realize that there's a lot a person can innovate and stick to it and live on it. Just that as scientists, we believe in just working in the lab. It's always research, it's always literature, rather than applying whatever we are researching. So it gave me a clear view that I can take whatever I'm doing in the lab, I can take my research in the lab and put it out there to people and live through it.
That's the very stuff that Talifhani was talking about, that it's moving away from the theoretical to the practical. Well, speaking of practical, we're going to speak to Martin, who's in Sierra Leone. Martin, appreciate you joining us. Now, your hardest local challenge: flooding, waste, mangroves. How are the youth tackling that in your part of the world?
Yeah, I'm so happy to have this opportunity. So for us, we had the call, Universal Green Organization through the Ministry of Youth, and also they linked with the university. So I am currently studying biological sciences, and it is related to environmental sciences. So in our part of the country, for me, I am a very passionate climate activist, and these opportunities does not come often. So I had to take it, and it is actually a great privilege. Here we have experienced a lot of disasters, and for youth like us being given the opportunity to showcase these skills, putting it into practice, not only learning them. The Universal Green Organizations has done a lot, mostly in personal development, having the confidence to work on our personal development plans, our goals, and mostly to tackle the global crisis, which is the climate change. In our part of the country, as I have just said earlier, we have gone through a lot of disasters. Mostly, this is caused by human activities, like cutting down of trees, which is very important in biodiversity and preserving our land, and the burning of fossil fuels. And in tackling this, I think we should introduce renewable energy, which is the best practices we should use to tackle some of these issues. And discouraging urban settlement, which most of the times cutting down of trees, deforestation, and encouraging in planting of more trees, and reducing plastic pollution, which is also a key crisis.
Okay, let's go to Kenya now, where we're going to speak to Jeanette. Karibu, Jeanette. Now, one of the areas, one of the areas that you're looking after, obviously, is girls in climate leadership. Talk to us about what's working and what's still in the way of greater progress.
All right. Thank you so much, Hugo. As everyone has heard, my name is Jeanette Wanjira, and I'm from Kenya. And what I can talk about, what are the issues that we're tackling, especially in climate leadership in our country. One of the issues that is really affecting climate change is waste pollution. And when we look at it, mostly solid waste pollution. As Kenya, we are really struggling with the distribution of waste, especially the way it is being disposed of after being used in medical facilities, in business facilities. And we have seen some of the efforts that are being made in Kenya, i.e. banning the use of plastics, where we have actually tried to really eradicate the use of plastic bags. But with time, you can see they're coming back into the market, and it's really being worked on by certain organizations. And I think one of the gaps that I've seen, especially in climate leadership, is that if the youth are able to be incorporated, because we have seen, like in Kenya, they have introduced a momentum on youth mtani. And when you talk about youth mtani, is that you're bringing youths to the streets, where they're being used to clean up the streets, they're involved in day-to-day activities so that they're able to clean all the trash. And this has really helped a lot. But maybe I can say that from what I've been able to be taught in UGO, it has given me the drive to be able to still empower people, because, you know, it has been a bit tricky, considering the issue on incentives has been a bit tricky because of funds to encourage youths to carry out their work. But I have been empowered, and I believe that we should not always be dependent on being paid so that we can make a change, but we can also come as the youth and bring change by just coming out and coming up with drives where we just encourage each other, even in schools, and through our environmental health clubs, you're able to come together and you're able to clean the streets even without being pushed.
Fantastic. Kahava in the studio, Universal Green Organization members, and two that are speaking to us from Kenya and Sierra Leone. You're watching Newsfeed, the PM edition. We'll carry on with this conversation right after the break. Don't go away. Cool. Scott, are you there?
Okay, I can't see a program. Yes.
I'm here, Hugo. Good afternoon.
Coming to you in a little bit. I have with me in studio members of the Universal Green Organization, and we started off with, you started off in 2014 with a handful of trees, more than 500,000 planted across the 9 provinces of the country. You now have reach across the continent. We're speaking to your colleagues in Sierra Leone, in Kenya. Talifhani, just walk us through your vision. Where do we see UGO in the next 5 years?
Yeah, thank you so much, Hugo. I think the first thing I'd want to talk about the fellowship, and that's why you see all these young people together. So what we're doing with the fellowship is it's a 90 days program, which starts with online training on personal development and ethical leadership, social enterprise, technology and innovation, and community development and sustainability. And the idea is you need to prepare young people to be able to understand themselves so that they can be able to go and lead. But after that, you need to make sure that they understand that you can solve a problem while using entrepreneurship models. That's why we talk about social enterprise. Because what we want these young people to do is to ensure that they are able to solve their community problems while they are not employed by just doing themselves. And after training them, we also then take them to DECO, which is Department of International Relations and Cooperation, where we train them on protocol, diplomacy, and etiquette. And the idea is because these young students, after receiving that, they are going to fly for the first time to a foreign country. Because we believe that if young people expand their horizon, they are able to understand what it means to be a global citizen so that they can apply that when they solve local problems. Because we realize that when young people are doing well academically, but they're just limited in their own space, it becomes difficult for them to become innovative and creative. So that's why after training them on protocol, diplomacy, and etiquette, we then fly them to a foreign country for 7 days.
All right, I'm going to stop you there because we're running short of time. Jeanette, I will ask you our final question. And one of the issues that Talifhani is talking about is the issue of diplomacy. Now, you've talked about your own experience where obviously the superpowers or the powers that be don't always toe the line in as far as conservation is concerned. Just how much of this learning is important in your interaction with the leadership in Kenya and certainly other businesses to get them to see the green light, if you will?
All right. Thank you so much, Hugo, for that question. And what I'd say is that with the learning that I've been able to experience, I can say that immediately right now I can come into terms, especially with the leadership in our government, unless I'm given an opportunity, and that's my biggest hope. But I would start with where I am, and I would first interact with, for example, my school. I study in Kenyatta University, so I'll be able to work with the departments that are there so that I'm able to show them the need of actually being involved in climate change issues. And that involves the clearing of our streets of litter. That also includes helping people to access clean water. That also includes the system of food security. Because as we were learning in the process of the 4 modules, we were able to talk about sustainability. And sustainability actually involves integrating all sectors, because if climate is actually affected, it means there'll be no food. It means that the people's health will be affected. It means that the economic place will be affected. So if we are able to just work together, because this will cut across through universities, this will cut across through businesses, and eventually it will come to our government. So I think with what I've been able to be empowered with, it has really helped me to see the interlinkage of everything and be able to interact, to be able to get the information that will help me to empower and actually inform people of what are the effects of climate change, that it's not only about the environment, but it will also affect other sectors of the economy and the world.
Fantastic. Great the way the program, the learnership, is weaving in all those skills. Jeanette, appreciate your time. Martin, thank you very much. And that's where we leave that conversation. Talifhani Tshitwamulomoni and Boitumelo Mashatola, UGO Fellow, Martin Bangura from Sierra Leone, and Jeanette Wanjira, who are joining us from Kenya. Thank you so much for coming on to the show.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.